Welcome to episode number 187 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on YouTube on May 11th, 2017. A ton of things to talk about this week, including the Responsible Brew, Mother's Day, crowdfunding the apocalypse, job searches, eating for good, Amazon shelter, presidential fumes, blacklisting fake news, sweet philanthropy, rock'em sock'em RoboCop, trickle-down internet, net neutrality spammers, uploadable memories, echo calling, augmented cocktails, trolling customers, and more, of course. We started off with the best, and BL has the honors. What was the best story of the week, BL?
First, I must say, settle down. We'll never get through that in 30 minutes. The best story of the week, I think, in a week when we all need something, to laugh at, is a beer called Responsibly. And the joke's on you, big beer brands. You Brew is a small craft brewery in London, and it just named its new low-alcohol beer Responsibly. And its advertising line is, "It's the beer that all other beer makers tell you to drink." And the campaign plays off the drink responsibly messages on packaging, bottles, cans. So there's this hilarious series of videos, which will be in the show notes. And my favorite one is the jingle. And he says, "We're so grateful to you that we're even going to lend you our jingle." And it's horrible. It's played on bagpipes, and there's this cow standing there, and the cow turns away from the sound of it, and he says, "Stop, stop!" And the bagpipe player, I guess, doesn't hear him, and he keeps going. It's every time I watch it, and I've watched it about 10 times, I crack up. Because we needed a laugh this week.
You know what the opposite of responsibility is, BL, don't you?
Irresponsibility?
Nope, it's fun. Speaking of fun,
good one.
Some advertisers and brands had a lot of fun this Mother's Day. Among them, Kraft has a Swear Like a Mother campaign. They've got a video ad with a mother going through her ordinary life being a mother and stepping on Legos and doing all the things that mothers do and swearing like a sailor throughout the day because of all the things that it's a realistic portrayal of what mothers do. And so it's Swear Like a Mother campaign. You can find that at swearlikeamother.com.
Did you say Kraft as in Velveeta cheese?
As in macaroni and cheese. Yep. Yep. So we will have all of these ads on the show notes at beyondsocialmediashow.com/187. So go there to watch them. Another one, HBO has stars from their shows, their mothers, the stars' mothers from their shows are reciting naughty lines from their shows. So this is from an Entertainment Weekly story by Oliver Gittell. So now there's a Mother's Day. HBO listed the moms of stars such as Tony Hale from Veep, Rob Cordroy from Ballers, and Sarah Jessica Parker from Divorce to recite some of their children's most profane quotes from the shows. It's absolutely hilarious. You'll have to watch that. And then finally, to top it off, KFC has released a novella for Mother's Day. This is from
one is hilarious.
This is from a WHAS TV in Louisville story. So KFC is giving mothers a romantic escape by releasing their first romance novella called, wait for it, Tender Wings of Desire. And they're pairing it with a $20 fill-up of extra crispy chicken for Mother's Day. KFC is making the novella available as an ebook, which you can downloadable for free for limited time at Amazon.com. There's also an accompanying video trailer of the book, which is absolutely hilarious. You can watch it on the show notes at beyondsocialmediashow.com/187. Yeah, so there you go. Lots of fun on Mother's Day.
Well, speaking of mothers, Mother Jones magazine has come to the rescue of the nation because they're doing a crowdfunding $500,000 to do their own independent Trump-Russia investigation. This is from a Boing Boing story from Carla Sinclair. They're taking donations to get to the truth on Trump's team's connections to Russia. They plan to make sure the truth prevails over power. And the campaign just started today, and they've already received a $200,000 grant from the Glazer Progress Foundation, who will contribute another additional $50,000 when they reach their goal. And they admit that digging up this story, if there is one, is going to be time-consuming and difficult. It's going to require going down a lot of rabbit holes and spending quality time with stacks of documents day after day, month after month. So please help send us down that rabbit hole, their announcement says. And they point out the story will only move forward, and this is so important, if journalists expose what politicians are hiding. And Mother Jones says, to be clear, we can't and shouldn't assume that where there's smoke, there's fire. But at this point, it doesn't matter. What Trump or any of his associates did in 2016 may or may not have been a scandal, but blocking the public from finding out most definitely is. And so basically they're saying it's up to all of us to make sure the truth prevails. So we have a link to where you can donate to this campaign. And somebody had to do something.
Well, there's an example of funding real news. Here's an example of funding the battle against fake news. This is from a Neiman Lab article by Ken Doctor. So there's an organization called Open Brand Safety, the Open Brand Safety Framework. The administrator is Jeff Jarvis of BuzzFeed blog fame, who is also the professor at CUNY. The money that is being donated to this organization is provided by Fund, John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Toe Foundation, and the Democracy Fund. All total, there's 19 organizations that have signed on to this initiative, including advertising exchange AppNexus and PR companies Edelman and Weber Shandwick. The idea is to use the marketplace to diminish fake news where it hurts the most, in the pocketbook. So this is a quote: the simplest way to describe it is we're going to try and build the largest list, bringing together all of the lists of all the fake news domains, as well as extreme content. This is a quote by Storyful CEO Rahul Chopra. Storyful is one of the key partners in this effort. We're going to bring together everybody's lists and give those to the networks, the ad tech firms, the agencies, etc., to try in some ways to choke off the money supply coming to these domains and sites. The best way to do that is to bring the various parties to the table to help solve it, whether that's the ad agencies, the ad tech firms, the publishers, or the platforms, to help define what those signals are, and then we can work on how to build technology to detect them faster. So identifying fake as well as extremist sites, the ISISs of the world, he says, is one thing, but curtailing their power is another. And that's where a partner, Moat, comes in. Moat focuses on ad analytics for top brand advertisers and premium publishers, so they can serve as a conduit to getting the blacklist of fake sites to ad buyers. Then those ad buyers can avoid placing buys on the suspected sites, and direct buying to direct buying is part of the problem, but a big part of the problem is the programmatic machine-driven buying that will make a difference. So that's an interesting effort. Phase 2, that's just phase 1. Phase 2 is understanding the spread of information from closed networks to the open web. So typically these stories, fake news stories, start within a subgroup of people and then spread online to social sites and in the open web. So they're trying to understand how that happens to include that insight into the algorithmic models. But this model appears to be the way that spam email blacklists are used by industry groups as a resource for email service providers. So if you think about how those work and couple with the signals that individual people use in their email inboxes marking stuff as spam, that's getting us a long way towards making our inboxes free of spam. The same kind of dynamic could be used in terms of fake news and extremist content.
That's a really major effort. That's going to go on for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, so a much happier note. Um, I think, Dave, that you should check out the microphone on your headphone, on your string. Ben and Jerry is making eating ice cream philanthropic. Now, eating ice cream is one of my major favorite things to do in the world. And this theme is in a world where, we all need to hear something good. This is let's get together and feel all right. And legions of us really don't feel all right now. So along comes Ben and Jerry's banana ice cream with caramel and graham cracker swirls and fudge peace signs. I can't wait to have a fudge peace sign. And they say, we bring you this cool concoction as a tasty tribute to the legendary Bob Marley. And then in partnership with the Marley family, this flavor is helping to fund a youth empowerment program in Jamaica that's called One Love Camp. And so there's a video that we'll have on the show notes for you, and it will explain both what they do at Bob Marley Camp and also what's in the ice cream. I can't wait to have some of the ice cream.
So this is an interesting, I just came across this today, article by at Quartz by June Ian Wong. There's an SEO consultant named Dan Schuer who discovered on April 28th, Google often does testing of their search results, and he happened to capture some screencasts of a test that Google is doing where they're incorporating jobs, job openings in the search results themselves. So he searched for jobs online, and Google returned a specially formatted box containing a list of jobs above the main search results. And clicking on the job listings leads to a portal where users can select tabs to display jobs by title, by city, by employer, also jobs by industry, including healthcare, advertising, marketing, retail. The jobs listed were attributed to third-party job sites like internship.com and Catholic Jobs Online. But an interesting new thing that Google is testing out. So the monster.coms of the world may have reason to be afraid.
Not to mention the LinkedIn Premium service.
Right. Yep.
So back to fake news. And just the fact that this is fake news did not stop 1,000 people from commenting on all sides of the aisle. There was a story today in Waterford Whispers News that said the Oval Office fumigated after complaints of overwhelming smell of bullshit. And so there's a disclaimer, which is hilarious, on the site. It's a satire site. It says, Waterford Whispers News is a fabricated satirical newspaper and comedy website published by Waterford Whispers News. Waterford Whispers News uses invented names in all its stories, except in cases where public figures are being satirized. Any other use of real names is accidental and coincidental. So the story was a parade of trucks from several competing fumigation providers were seen lining up outside the White House at 7 a.m. this morning following reports that the Oval Office may have become infested with noxious bullshit. Many concerned citizens working in buildings in the surrounding Washington, D.C. area complained about the overwhelming stench shortly after the Office of the President issued a press release confirming FBI Director James Comey had indeed been fired by President Trump. And the accompanying photograph were guys in hazmat suits spraying the Oval Office. If only,
Well, that's a case of a lot of people saying, I don't care whether it's true. I want it to be true.
Exactly. So if you're new to this podcast, we just want to welcome you and ask you to please be sure to subscribe to our channel. And we're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, Stitcher, and YouTube, but especially please subscribe on iTunes because that's where most people listen to podcasts. And if you go there and subscribe, it helps us get found by more people. So we would appreciate that.
We would indeed. Amazon has a great story this week. This is from an Amazon post on their blog. They are donating more than 47,000 square feet of space within their newest headquarters building as a permanent location for a Mary's Place family shelter. They have partners with Mary's Place for some time, but this new partnership will include 65 rooms, which will shelter more than 200 homeless women, children, and families each night. In April 2016, Amazon provided Mary's Place with temporary use of vacant building on its urban campus. It was a former Travel Lodge hotel, but Amazon upgraded and decorated the building, included utilities for more than 200 family members while awaiting construction of the new building. So, nice story.
That's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
Wow, that makes me feel good, and not much news has made me feel good this
Right.
week. Does that bring us to bad news, or are you full of more good news?
I got a few more here.
Well, go ahead.
So this one I wanted to talk about last week, but we skipped over it last week. This is from The Verge, article by James Vincent. So in Mountain View, California, a drunk man was arrested after tackling a 300-pound security robot called the Nightscope K5. This is a different Nightscope K5, if that name sounds familiar, than the one that made the news last year for running over a toddler's foot. According to ABC 7 News, the perpetrator was a 41-year-old man named Jason Sylvan. He approached K5 while he was while the robot was patrolling the parking lot. He toppled it over, inflicted a number of scratches on the bot. I think they're called abrasions.
Did he punch it?
Just tackled it, apparently. The K5 is now back on patrol. Sylvan has been arrested for prowling and public intoxication. But the article cites an experiment in Japan. This is the part that's interesting. An experiment in Japan where a robot was let loose to wander in a busy shopping mall, asking humans who blocked its path to move out of the way. The research found that adults were perfectly happy to step aside, but children were less accommodating. When no one was looking, they obstructed the robot, kicking it, punching it, calling it names. So they found no easy way to stop this behavior by the children. The roboticist programmed the bot to simply avoid any human shorter than 1.4 meters. Children are such assholes.
Well, they can be, but they can also be pretty wonderful, I have to say. It depends on the kid. I mean, I keep a list of charity. I do a moment for a client, and it's charities started by children, and they're wonderful stories. Some of these kids are 8 and 9 years old, and they're doing charitable work.
Any charitables for robots in need of care?
We'll need to start one. I'll have to find a kid for that.
Right. So last good story for me. Uploadable memories. This is from a Recode article by April Glazer. So Tom Gruber is one of the inventors of Siri. He has shared a new idea at the TED 2017 conference for using artificial intelligence to augment human memory. Quoting him, he says, what if you could have a memory that was as good as a computer memory is about your life? What if you could remember every person you ever met, how to pronounce their name, their family details, their favorite sports, the last conversation you had with them? Gruber said he thinks that using artificial intelligence to catalog our experiences and enhance our memory isn't just a wild idea, it's inevitable. I believe him. The host of the Digitally Storing Our Memories certainly raises some unsettling possibilities, he said, but memory enhancement could be life-changing. Obviously, suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia can help store those memories and would be beneficial for both those of the loved ones of somebody suffering from dementia, but also could trigger memories, recall for those experiencing dementia. But some of the implications, I mean, healthcare. Imagine in healthcare, if you can store store memories, you could probably program a VR experience for a doctor who could see your diagnosis from your point of view. Legal proceedings, memories can be subpoenaed. Racial relationships. So my girlfriend and I disagree on a concert that we went to that I am 100% sure we went to, and she doesn't believe we went to. So if we stored those memories, that could be settled.
And what was that concert?
It was now I can't remember the spot.
I can't remember. That's because you probably didn't go.
It was soul coughing. Yep. So there's that, and then you got to be able to monetize memories. If you can save it, there's got to be a way to monetize it. So
I find this horrifying, absolutely horrifying. On every level. That should be in bad, not good. That's
well,
horrifying.
flip it over. You can put it in bad.
Okay. Bad news now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So this sucks. Anti-net neutrality spammers are impersonating real people to flood FCC comments. And this is from a Verge story by three people, Colin Letcher, Addie Robertson, and Russell Brandon. And what happened was thousands of people posted comments on the FCC's website in response to a proposed rollback of net neutrality internet protections, weighing in on whether or not to defend the open internet. John Oliver encouraged viewers to post a public comment thread with support for strong regulation, and a massive number of people did so, but many other people came with a different point of view. And they seemed to be posted by different real people with addresses attached, but people contacted by The Verge said they did not write the comments and have no idea where the post came from. And it's unclear who may have orchestrated the comments, although you probably have a little idea where that might come from. A line of the language used in the comments specifically about the unprecedented regulatory power of the Obama administration has some resemblance to a 2010 press release from the Center for Individual Freedom, which is a conservative anti-net neutrality group. So The Verge contacted them to ask them if they organized the campaign, and they said, yes, the Center for Individual Freedom is asking our supporters and other activists across the nation to submit comments. It shouldn't come as a surprise that the wording of the email is similar to wording they used in 210 as their messaging on the general issue. And they say their message has been consistent for a decade. And, so the trolls were out in numbers.
Yeah, and Ars Technica has coverage of the proposed rollback by an article by John Brodkin. So 9 Republican U.S. senators have submitted legislation that would prohibit the FCC Commission from ever again using regulatory authority that allowed the Commission to impose net neutrality rules. It's called the Restoring Internet Freedom Act, of course. And it would prohibit the FCC from classifying ISPs as common carriers under Title II of the Communications Act, and from, quote, imposing certain regulations on providers of such service. It's sponsored by Senator Mike Lee of Utah, who said the internet is threatened by the Federal Communications Commission's 2015 Open Internet Order, which would put federal bureaucrats in charge of engineering the internet's infrastructure. Co-sponsors are Senators John Cornyn of Texas, Tom Cotton of Arkansas, Ted Cruz of Texas, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Rand Paul of Kentucky, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, Ben Sasse of Nebraska, James Inhofe of Oklahoma, all Republicans, of course. Net neutrality rules prohibit ISPs from blocking, throttling, or prioritizing internet websites or applications in exchange for payments. The FCC's new Republican chairman, Ajit Pai, has proposed overturning the Title II classification and net neutrality rules in his own Restoring Internet Freedom plan. But the internet's a utility. It's no different than water, electricity, heat. Everybody needs it. It's also the greatest economic leveling platform ever created. Without net neutrality, companies like Comcast, Verizon, AT&T will be able to prioritize internet traffic and giving better bandwidth to huge companies and making it far more difficult for small startups, innovative small startups, mom and pop shops, and things like this podcast to succeed. So it's a bad, bad thing.
Very, very bad. And what you all need to do right now is text resist to 50409, which is resist bot, and it will identify your congressional representatives and let you write a fax to them and deliver it to them immediately. We have to speak out every single day. It's just absolutely crucial that we make our voices heard. Okay, so I could have put this in good, except I think it's bad. Amazon, according to Ingrid London at TechCrunch, has going to enable free calls and messages on all Echo devices with Alexa calling, as that's what it's going to be called, Alexa calling. And as our privacy continues to erode on a daily basis in the face of democracy's meltdown, I don't really think this is a good thing, but I'm a cockeyed optimist, so I hope it will be a good thing, even though I seriously doubt it. So even though Amazon flopped with the Fire Phone, you can't count them out of telephony right now, because they unveiled their newest Echo device at the Echo Show, which is called the Echo Show, excuse me, with a 7-inch video screen, which you talked about last week. And they also announced Alexa Calling, which is free voice calls and messaging services that you can use through all Echo devices, not just the Echo Show. And it's for all users of the Alexa app on smartphones. Alas, this is not being positioned as something mildly intrusive, nor as a creepy Big Brother style service, but it is. So rather, Amazon says it's opt-in and a way to communicate with only the closest members of your family. I just don't believe that. And they say examples of usage can include checking in on elderly relatives, letting your family in another room know it's time for dinner, as opposed to saying, hey, it's time for dinner, or perhaps making sure your kid is really doing homework and not watching YouTube. So we have to see how people use it as it rolls out, but I'm much more concerned about how Amazon uses it.
BL, you're the one who say all the time that privacy is dead.
Yeah, but this is beyond the pale. I mean, privacy. You can't come in my house. I'm sorry. You can't come in my house and listen to what I'm doing. I don't want to hear you here.
It's already happened.
Not in my house.
Yeah. Right now, your privacy is being invaded because we're doing this live over the internet.
Okay, well, here we are.
Yeah. So anyway, this is an amusing story. This is from Eater, article by Monica Burton. So there's a British chef and restaurateur named Jason Atherton. That sounds like a British name, doesn't it?
Very.
Yes, he's launching the first ever augmented reality cocktail menu at his bar at City Social, which is his restaurant in London. So the drinks will be real, but they'll be augmented on your phone with a screen that has virtual art that reflects the cocktail's theme. So, for example, there's a Wheatfield with fizz drink. It's a simple wheat-colored cocktail, and when you use the app to view the drink, it's accompanied with a backdrop filled with Van Gogh-esque style imagery. To see the cocktails come to life, the patrons will have to download an app called Mirage to their phone. The drinks arrive on a mat that the phone scans to activate the augmented reality experience. Drinkers can then swap and share the images on social, of course. The launch is currently planned for mid-June.
That's kind of fun. For
Kind
some
of
reason,
fun, but kind of pointless. I mean,
well, pointless, yeah, but a lot of things are these days. But that sort of reminds me of a gift that somebody I worked for gave out one year to clients, and it was a scratch and sniff diet book. So when you got hungry, you just scratch the chocolate and sniff it instead of eating it. This is sort of along those lines.
That doesn't sound very effective.
Well, yeah, neither is any other kind of diet. Tell us about Radio Shack.
Oh, this is awesome. This is great. This is from some eCards website. Mary Wilkerson or May Wilkinson. Wilkerson is the author. There's a Radio Shack in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, that closed down recently. It's not that they closed down that's news. It's how they closed. Radio Shack announced that they would be closing with a Facebook post. The Facebook post read, "We closed. F you all." The post was shared more than 20,000 times at the time of that writing, and racked up thousands of comments. Not surprisingly, but that was not it. There was a post that later followed that said, "Always hated you prick customers anyway." That post too went viral, of course, but they still weren't done. And so the second post was followed by an updated cover photo of the storefront with a Radio Shack sign featuring only the letters ADIOS from the words Radio Shack lit. So ADIOS spells adios, of course. And then the profile photo of the Facebook page was redone to use the R for the Radio Shack logo, followed by the letters IP, RIP. There you go. That's how to close your store.
That's one way, that's for sure. So, are you still
I'm done
telling
with
us?
you. Nope,
Okay, so that brings us to shiny objects, yes?
Yes, yes, it does. What do you got?
There's one that I like this a lot. It's called Museum Go, and it gives you hours, admission cost, directions, one-touch dialing, and lists of the exhibits for more than 2,700 museums in 79 U.S. cities. And it's, it's really a very convenient way to find out what's going on. And I can't tell you how many people each weekend when I'm around Central Park and standing next to the Metropolitan Museum ask, "Excuse me, where is the Metropolitan Museum?" While you're standing in front of it. "Oh, thank you very much." Every weekend, because they figure anybody with a dog like knows the neighborhood and is nice, which you shouldn't really think, but.
So I'm constantly surprised at how few people I talk to know what Creative Commons is. So I'm always explaining Creative Commons, and I don't quite understand why. But maybe it's just one thing a thing that we geeks take for granted. But anyway, because of that, the Creative Commons, in case you don't know, is is a copyright framework basically for the internet age. It's much more flexible than traditional copyright that just says basically I own it and you can't use it unless I give you explicit permission. This is a framework that allows you to apply very flexible options to stipulate exactly how you want someone to use your content, and you can do it en masse. So it's scalable. So Flickr, for example, uses Creative Commons licenses when you upload a photo to their platform. And the options are from anywhere from all rights reserved, it's all mine, you can't use it at all, to use it but don't alter it and give me attribution, to use it, modify it, but give me attribution, to you can use it for non-commercial uses only, or you can use it for commercial purposes, or you can just contribute it to the public domain. So a bunch of different options. So I wrote a blog post explaining this, but also it includes links to a bunch of tools you can use. So here's the shiny new tool. Six sites that use Creative Commons licenses where you can go and find all kinds of multimedia content, from photos to video to sounds. So there you go. That's my cool thing.
And if you have a blog, you really should have a Creative
Exactly.
Commons license.
Yeah, I use
on your
Flickr all the
blog.
time for that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you should really think about how you want your content used, and hopefully people will respect it, although that's unlikely. So I came across The Way to Design, which is something of crucial importance, about the crucial importance of design. And it's by Steve Vassallo, and it's a free resource for designers and non-design entrepreneurs and executives. And, he's saying for business today at the interface with end users where technology meets design, a swipe right or a hold might decide the next breakout business. And so this book is for entrepreneurial designers who want to know what it takes to start a company, and for non-designer entrepreneurs who want to understand how to make design a core value of their business. It's a free download, and it's absolutely a crucial read.
Very cool. You get another one, or is that
I
it?
do. I have another one. I learned this today. How to make Facebook polls. I wanted to do a poll about how long the King's reign was going to last. And so I learned that Facebook only lets you create polls in groups, but there's an open public group where you can create polls, see results, and share them. So we'll put the link to the Facebook group, and you just request to join. They say you can join, and then you're able to use the tools to make polls and see the results, and then you can share it on wherever you want.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, also cool, we got a shout out from Scott Monty this week for his Full Monty newsletter, which is fantastic. Everybody should subscribe to it because it is a compilation every week of the latest stuff that's happening in online communication, social media, marketing, etc. It's a great thing. Yep, it's completely thorough. I go through it every week, and so this week I went through it. Noticed that he given us our podcast a shout out. So thank you very much, Scott Monty. If you don't know, is a legend. You should know who he is. He is the guy who, when he was at Ford Motor Company, and during the congressional hearings, where the automakers were being raked over the coals by the politicians in congressional hearings, it was the one person at the major car companies who was on Twitter, talking with people, responding to people who were responding to the congressional inquiries, and therefore, because of his smart approach to dealing with the criticism his company was taking, among all the major car companies, Ford suffered the least because he was responsive to the audience on Twitter. So good for him.
So I think that brings us to the daily numbers.
Yep, and let's round this out with some numbers about Mother's Day, of course. This is from KFC, of course. KFC, Mother's Day is KFC's best-selling day of the year. Who knew,
Seriously?
right? Yes. So the restaurant chain experiences a 40% sales jump on Mother's Day. They serve about 380,000 families each year on Mother's Day. So why is that?
I cannot imagine.
Well, at our office, one of the women suggested that, well, men don't know how to cook, so they just go to KFC to buy dinner for Mother's Day. I think it's more like men don't remember until the last moment.
For which there's no excuse,
I gotta get
Dave.
dinner.
There's no excuse. And my God, how many restaurants are there in the United States? You couldn't go to a fancier restaurant. Oh my God. Okay, that does bring us to the end of episode 187 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And David Erickson is found on Twitter at @DErickson and also at The Daily Numbers. He blogs at e-strategyblog.com. He also blogs at trends.e-strategyblog.com. And on YouTube, he's eStrategy. I am BL Ochman. On Twitter, I am at What's Next. I blog at What's Next Blog. My YouTube channel is What's Next Blog. And on Google+, I'm +BL Ochman. The show online is BeyondSocialMediaShow.com, where later you will find the video from the show and also the notes linking to every story we've discussed here, plus the videos we mentioned. On YouTube, we are Beyond Social Media Show. On Google+, we're Beyond Social Media Show. On Twitter, we're at BS Media Show because we try not to take ourselves too terribly seriously. And we are on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And we'd love you to go to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast. And we will be back next week. And we hope to see you then, and we thank you for watching tonight.
Thanks for watching.